everybody, and welcome to our next episode of May Google Be With You. Today we are exploring our master mission control. This ain't no Death Star. This is more like the Millennium Falcon, the coolest ship in the galaxy. We're going to be exploring Google Classroom today. Now, I'm really excited that we finally get to this tool in episode 7 of May Google Be With You because we've been exploring all of the Google apps independently. Well, now everything that we've spent the last week creating, we're now going to use that inside of our Google Classroom. And you've heard me saying throughout the week, I would assign this in Google Classroom. I would assign this in Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you those couple of things. Now, if you're brand new to Google Classroom or you feel like you're just getting started, pause the video here. I actually have attached for you below this video a step-by-step mini course or just a series of videos that will take you through every aspect of using Google Classroom. So the focus of today's episode is more of those lesser known tips and tricks and really important points about Google Classroom. But if you need some of that step-by-step support or help, use the videos below, contact MTech, we're happy to give you some help as well. But I just don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed of, wait, what did she do? Because what I'm gonna show you today is a little more of that out of this world stuff. The other thing that I have attached for you today is just some of those tips and tricks and things that you can use inside the Google Classroom, like a custom banner and a couple of really great extensions that we're going to use for some powerful teacher feedback today. And all of those come from the Google Classroom queen herself, Miss Alice Keeler. And so we're going to be looking today at some of her ideas from 50 things you can do with Google Classroom, which I've attached that information in her blog for you there. So it really kind of gets you going with some of that. And we're going to be giving away a couple copies of this book today. You're going to see how we're going to do that. So today we're also going to be looking at how we can use the iOS or Android app to support Google Classroom, because there are a couple really cool things that you can do on an iPad or a tablet that you can't do in the browser version of this. So we're ready to get started. Make sure that you are signed into your Chrome browser with your Edmonton Catholic account, or if you're joining us as a guest, just make sure you're using your school domain account, because number one, Google Classroom is protected to your domain in order to keep out, stranger danger from our students. And so make sure you're signed with your account, and we are gonna get started right away. So the first thing that you're going to notice here is I'm inside my Google Classroom. I'm just here at classroom.google.com. Now, if you're an Edmonton Catholic Schools teacher, just remember, one of the easiest ways to get your kids to the Google Classroom, regardless if you're using a PC or a Chromebook, is if you're signed in with your Edmonton Catholic Schools account, we have this ecsd.net bookmarks bar on every single browser bar for staff and students. And what students are going to be able to see is the quick links to all those really important, crucial tools that we have in our district, including Google Classroom. So really great way to be able to get there quickly and have your students be where they need to be. Now, my number one pro tip for you when it comes to Google Classroom is I want you to think of them a little bit like do-it-tangs. When we are in our Google Classrooms, what happens is it's the temptation of the beginning of the year, I'm going to make Mrs. Rofi's grade 5 classroom. And then I put in my language arts and my science and my math. And suddenly what happens is 7 subjects, 10 months, a lot of content. You can really imagine how massive and almost unmanageable these classrooms get. So what I like to tell people, and this is just a pro tip from Trish, you can feel free to ignore the crazy blue hair lady. I want you to think of it like do-it-tangs. When we have our classes, we often look at material management. We say, okay, your red do-it-tang, that is for your language arts. We're currently working on our narrative writing. That's what that's for. Or my science, the green do-it-tang is science. We're currently working on topic C, building and testing materials and designs. That's what's going in here. We would never try to cram 10 months and 7 subjects inside of a do-it-tang. When we can split up our Google Classrooms into smaller, manageable pieces, either a single subject area or even better, themes or topics or projects, what happens is kids don't get lost in the stream or the classwork by scrolling, trying to find things, even though I'm going to show you how we can filter a little bit and be able to jump and find some things. But as well, when it comes to next year and you being able to reuse posts or copy entire classrooms, it does make things a lot easier for you as well. So really consider, how are you using this classroom? Also remember, Google Classroom doesn't have to be used just for traditional subject areas. You can also use Google Classrooms for clubs, sports, being able to have kids work in reading groups. Maybe you have some ELL students working on some extra literacy strategies. Whatever that is, you can have these smaller classrooms as well, being able to support those areas. One thing I should point out is we never invite our parents into our Google Classrooms. This is an Edmonton Catholic School rule. Google Classrooms are not for that parent communication. What happens is, because it's a protected domain, we don't have anybody without an ECSD account being able to be invited in. And so parents would have to log in as their students to be in these classrooms. And that means they could do the work, and then they could comment on other kids. They could comment in the classroom being like, hey, so-and-so, you were mean at recess. Like, it can get very bad very fast. So for parent communication, there is a way to invite guardians in the Google Classroom, but that is an email summary to the parent of that particular child alone, telling them about outstanding work, turned in work, any of those different types of things in their classes. It doesn't actually let the parent inside of the live Google Classroom. If you're looking for an interactive way to have some parent communication, that's tomorrow's episode for Google Sites, which is a much better way to be able to share with parents specifically and not having to worry about interaction with kids. So that's kind of we laid out the danger in the galaxy. But right now we're going to have a little bit of fun with some of the newer features of Google Classroom. We had a massive update this past August. It was the biggest update to Google Classroom since its inception 5 years ago. And this past January, we had another update to Google Classroom with the look of it and its material design. So I'm going to take you through some of those new features, and we're going to kick it off with starting off a classroom and customizing it with our own personal banners. So I know that I can launch a classroom very easy. Teachers have the ability to create or join a class. Students can only create a class. So this is really great if you are a teacher leader that's doing professional development. Maybe you have a PLC group, different things like that. You can go ahead and join another colleague's class for the purposes of professional development. Or maybe you're a co-teacher and you want to be able to use that as well. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create a class for us today, and I'm just going to call it May Google Be With You. Now, I will point out you can also do sections. If you teach multiple sections of the same class, so maybe you're teaching both grade 6 science, make 2 separate Google Classrooms, because what you can do to one, you can do to another. You don't have to have 52 kids in one room and trying to manage those assignments. You can keep everything very separate. You can also throw in the subject area, the room number, whatever different pieces you want. And of course, this is fully editable later. And don't forget, all of these details are in that Going Slow, Getting Started with Google Superhero course. Just make sure you click the link below this video and you'll see all of those step-by-step features. Now, one of the things I really love is the brand new update to the overall look and function of Google Classroom. So right away, we can see that there's a brand new material design. Now, I will point out, if you're still using Google Classrooms from last year, stop. We can create those new classes every year, and there's going to be a way, I promise, at the end of this video to show you how you can copy classes. We don't want to have to do the kicking kids in, kicking kids out. All of our stuff is in there. What's really great too is as long as you are using Google Classroom since this past August of 2018, it means you get all of the updates and features. If you're using an old version of Google Classroom from last year, 2017, or earlier in 2018, or even an old version of the app, you're going to really need to make sure that you update that or start a new classroom, because that's how you're going to get all of these features. All right, so let's look at customizing our theme, because I think it's really important for kids to be able to know which class is which, and we can have some fun and personalize that. So in here you can see that it's giving me the title, May Google Be With You, and it gives you just a default picture. It will try to match your picture to it. Now you can select some really great themes, and what they have is they have 78 brand new themes all loaded in here for you. And they've even got them specifically split up to different subject areas. It's great to pick a really specific theme, because now your kids will start to visually cue which class is which or which one they're working in. And so you can go in and you can see some of those really awesome, beautiful designs. Now, if you would like to customize your own, You absolutely can. That's the really great part about Google, is there is always room for personalization. I can upload my own photo. So here's the trick. A couple of things I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how you can make your own banner, as well as we can use photos that we find even off of a Google image search. And we can also include GIFs. So I want to show you what both of those look like. Now, if you're making a banner, what I like to use for my banners is Google Drawings. And that was our episode from yesterday. What we're going to do is we're looking at creating a Google drawing that is 800 by 200 pixels. That's the minimum size that you should have in order to be able to put something inside your Google Classroom. You're also going to be able to use this exact same procedure for Google Sites. So you can see here how I was able to have a banner, and I've attached this banner for you below. Couple of trips, and definitely go ahead and watch yesterday's episode on Google Drawings to get the full drawing effect. But a couple of things that I did is I did a file and page setup. I changed it from the standard size, that is the default, and I selected custom. Then instead of inches, I selected pixels, and you want to make sure that it is 800 by 200 pixels. That needs to be the size of your banner. If you right-click on the background, you can actually select a background color. You can say Insert and Wordart, and that's how you can put in the title here that I have as Language Arts. And as well, you can include other little images or icons. Here, I like to put my Bitmoji, just to personalize that for my classroom so that they know what I'm doing, and even just a little image here from Flat Icon. Whatever you want to put on this banner, you absolutely can. What you're going to do is you're going to say File, Download As, and you're just going to save it as an image. You can save it as a PNG or as a JPEG. Either one will be just fine. Go ahead and save it where it's going to go. I'm just going to call this number 2, so it's at the top of my screen. And now I have a banner that's fully saved and ready to put in my classroom. So now when I go back to my May Google Be With You, I can upload a photo and I can select it from my computer. I'm going to go ahead and put in the one that I just made. And it's going to change it and upload it right there into my classroom so that it looks really great for the kids. Now, another thing that I can do is I really love bringing learning to life, and I love GIFs. It's so great. Animated graphics that are just perfect for you. And so what I'm going to do is I've saved a GIF into my Google Drive, just like I did that PNG file. So just making sure that you're using, labeled for reuse, and you're allowed to have these GIFs. I have a GIF of a volcano that I found that I've saved into my drive, and I can load that as well. Because Google Classroom lives online, the graphical image can still be animated, which is really fantastic. So it can look like this. Same thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload my photo. Now I went and I found a volcano GIF that I was able to use. I was able to save it. I went and I did a save as, and I put this GIF right into my drive. And so now when I'm in my classroom, I can upload my photo, select from my computer. I can choose that volcano GIF. It's still animated. It'll load it in there, and then I might have to resize it a little bit. I'll be able to select a portion of that GIF that I want to be able to see across the banner. Again, the GIF will have to be a minimum of 800 by 200 pixels in order to be selected. So if you're doing a GIF search, just make sure you're searching for a larger size one. Little thumbnail ones won't work. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag the region of the GIF that I want. We'll get it nice there so I can see we're going to explode our learning today. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set that. And then of course it is going to change my class theme, and it's going to add it to my banner just right at the top and remain animated. There we go, learning on fire. And it's also really fun for students. You can also customize these to match the topic that you're going through. So if you're doing, earth and atmospheric science or your rocks and minerals, here we go. We've got some volcano action happening. All right. The next thing I really want to talk about this new material design is being able to look at the idea of how we can assign in our classwork. We've completely changed where it used to be all of your assignments, all of your announcements, all of your everything was in this never-ending stream. And it looks great at the beginning of the year, but as you start scrolling, it gets a little bit nuts. The other thing we were missing is when I just wanted to hand out something to kids, but I didn't need the back and forth, I didn't need to actually assign it so that it showed up as missing work, we can now hand out materials in addition to assignments. So I can give somebody something, but it doesn't mean it has to be assigned. So what I'm going to take you through is the basics of creating a topic, putting in an assignment, and of course handing out a material. So let's take a peek at what that looks like. So this stream still exists. This is going to be where everything just sort of keeps flowing and you're going to see all of your announcements, all of your assignments, everything here. But the money shot, the place you want to direct your students to, is to go into the Classwork tab. In the Classwork tab, I'm going to have a create button that I'm used of. And this is where I can see now I have more options. I can create an assignment. That's that traditional back and forth workflow that I want to have with students. I want to give them something, I want to collect something from them, I want to see their work. A quiz assignment simply creates that Google form right here in the classroom. So we did already have our episode on Google Forms, and so if you want to refer back to that one, it'll show you how to be able to do that. A question is simply just that. It's asking a quick poll or a question right here in the classroom that students can answer on the spot. And a material is being able to hand out something to students without having a due date or workflow. I'm giving them some notes. I'm giving them a PDF. I'm giving them a video with no expectation of them being able to hand anything in. Topics are what organizes it all. And this is what really has made the stream just such a better place, because we now have topics inside the Classwork tab. And with the most recent update only 2 weeks ago, I can now filter by topic. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create an assignment. I'm going to give my assignment a name, and then I'm going to be able to assign it to all of my participants, all of my students. So what we're going to be looking at here is I'm going to do an animal classification. And what is really exciting about this is just last night I got an email from one of our Google Ninjas, Jody Nahernek from St. Angela School. And she says, I was inspired by your Google drawing session and I wanted to create something right away for my kids. And so she made this really great Google Draw animal classification, step-by-step guided drawing for students. And so what I'm going to do is in my Classwork tab, I've got my May Google Be With You. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be putting in my instructions. Just remember, if I wanted to assign this to more sections, I could. So if I did teach grade 6A and 6B and I wanted to make an assignment to both classes and be able to keep my students separate, that's how you do it. So when you create an assignment, it can be to more than one class. As well, if I had students in here, I would be able to also assign it to specific students if I wanted to, for great differentiation of assignments between students with different needs. And so I'm going to go ahead, put in the animal classification. I have the option of being able to give it a due date. The nice thing about the due date is it does put it in the student's Google Calendar for them so they can keep on track. Also, when the parents get the email summary, they'll see what's due when and can help with things at home. Topic is this lovely money shot. This is what's going to organize our Google Classroom. And so I want to create a topic, and perhaps I'm simply going to call this topic animal classification, because we're going to be doing many things with animal classification throughout this unit. And I want to be able to have that here so that we can go ahead and we can just add more assignments under that same topic. Now I'm going to get to use my Drive button. Thank goodness for recent. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose that Google Draw, that amazing drawing that Jody made. And what's nice about this is I'm given some options. Students can view the file, means students can only take a look at it but not do anything to it. So this is great for notes or handouts or things that students just need to look at. I do have the option of students can edit the file. This is perfect for collaborative assignments. For example, we're all working on collaborative Google Slides where each student is going to choose a slide, put their name on that slide, work on that slide. We all have the same edit privileges to the same file. Takes a little bit of practice and students need to understand what that means. This one's great. This is the teacher time saver. Make a copy for each student. What this does is it literally puts a copy in the Google Drive for each student invited into your Google Classroom so that you don't have to. Plus, it puts their name and the name of the assignment on the file so you don't get 20 untitled's handed into you. No emailing with you, no sharing with you, nothing else has to happen. You simply say, make a copy for each student. Now, I will point out, you have to make the copy the first time you make the assignment. If you edit the assignment, you can't make a copy later. You'll have to delete the assignment and then repost it in order to make that copy. Now, if I don't want to assign it right away, don't forget those handy dandy tools of being able to schedule it. This is fantastic if you're working during a prep or working in the evening and you don't want kids to, that keener beaner, that 9 o'clock at night, you're trying to post this and they have it done before you walk in the next day. And so I can go ahead and schedule that, as well as I can save it as a draft because I'm just not quite ready to post that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm simply going to say assign so we can see what this looks like in the classroom. All right, so we can see a great topic. We can see fantastic. We've got an assignment there. We can see the logo for the clipboard of the assignment. And now I've got that handed out to my kids. Now, what does this look like in another classroom? I want to show you a couple more of our classrooms that were so kindly shared with me today. Just what this can look like in order to search and do some different features in there. So I was invited to be a co-teacher in mechanical systems for grade 8A. And so inside this classroom, a couple of things I'll point out. Look at this custom banner. What's really fantastic, what one of our Google ninjas, Corey Rofi, does is he allows students at the beginning of a unit, he actually creates an assignment where students go through the content of the textbook, and it's a bit of a KWL. What do you think we need to know? What are we going to learn as we encounter this unit? What's the best representation about what we're going to study? And the kids actually create these banners, put them in Google Drawings, and they take a little class vote about what's going to be the custom banner for that classroom. So it really personalizes that experience for students. Now, if I go into his Classwork tab, a couple of things that you're going to notice is that there's different topics. We can see a section for if you're done everything. We can see a seating plan here. I can scroll through and see all of the different topics organized by topics. And so you can really see how in here I've got an assignment and then I've got 2 sets of materials handed out. So we don't have to worry about what that workflow looks like. So it's really easy for students to be able to go through and look at this. Now, in addition, I can look at those topics and I can actually filter just by a specific topic now. That's why these are so important. If I was doing some studying and I just wanted to look at complex machines, what that filter is going to do is it's only going to show me that part of the stream, that part of the classwork, so I don't have to see and sort through everything else. This is really fantastic for students, and it really helps students as well that struggle with some executive functioning or just struggling with focus. So this can help find some things. At any given point, you can of course see all the topics. And if there is a topic that you wanted to change the order of, at any point you can move things up and down. So you can change the order of the topics and the assignments in your class so they don't move around. This is nice for things to stay in one particular place. Makes things very handy. Another thing that I really love about it, here's that creating a drawing for the Google Classroom assignment that Corey made. And when I go into this, I can see that I have all of the assignment. I can view that assignment. I can really keep track of who's turned things in, who has it still outstanding and assigned. But when you make things assignable and inside the Google Classroom, what's really fantastic is I have access to the student work from the beginning. I don't actually even have to wait for the turn in button. Now in this particular case, Corey let the students create from Classroom as opposed to him adding a template. This is one of the most important buttons we forget about inside of Google Classroom because we don't see the student view. So let me show you what that can look like. Now in this particular case, I'm a student in one of Dane's sample classrooms. And when I go into one of his assignments, the most important buttons to point out to your students is add and create. If your teacher has not put a template for you, that's okay. But you still don't want kids just going out into Google Docs, going out into Google Drawings and making whatever and then attaching it later. You lose that formative connection. And so what I want to make sure that I do is if students are going to be creating a drawing like we did yesterday, creating a doc like we did earlier this week, they're using the create button and they're going to choose whatever it is that they're creating right here, because what it does is it allows the link to the teacher immediately. It puts my name on it and it also names it the assignment. Now, if the student was doing something separate, like maybe they were creating a scratch game, maybe they were doing something, a screen recording, they could do all kinds of other amazing things using Web 2.0 tools, you name it. What the students are going to use is the add button. I do love the add button, especially if your students have some things on their mobile phones, because they could be recording themselves doing a great exit ticket, recording a process of something having in the classroom. They open up the Google Classroom app and add. Now that video or that image gets taken right off their phones. Same things if they're working on a Chromebook. They can be doing a quick screen recording, talking about what's happening. They add that right from their drive. They could make a really great Scratch 3.0. They're going to be making a virtual tour of the Iroquois Confederacy, and they've created and coded all that. They share the link, they hand it into the Google Classroom. So any of those different types of things, no matter what kids are doing, they only have two options. They're either creating from the classroom or they're adding to the classroom, because we always want this to be our mission control. We don't want things emailed to us, shared with us, any of those different types of things. We need it here. Now, if kids are also working analog, they're working on some paper, they're doing, some little math strategies, and they're showing their formula. That's no problem. You get the kids to take their papers, hold it in front of the webcam, take a picture, boom. Now it's going to be right there and added into the classroom, so you're not gathering all those little slips of paper. So make sure those two buttons are the most important buttons that your students know about, so that you can see the students' work immediately in the Google Classroom without having to wait. All right, now let's talk about the updated and very powerful feedback and assessment feature that we can do within Google Classroom. As part of the brand new material design and update, we now have all of the assessment features in one really awesome place, instead of having to put a private comment here, a class comment here, a mark here, feedback here. We have everything all in one view, which makes things really handy. So I'm going to show you what we can do here within the browser. I've got really two great extensions that I want to show you as well from Alice Keeler. Then we're going to jump on over to the app to show you two things we can do there as well. And so in this particular case, our brand new MTech consultant, Ben Prather, he has shared with me his awesome grade 3B Google Classroom that he's currently using with his students. And so we're going to see how he handles a little bit of that assessment and workflow. Hopefully the kids don't mind I'm taking a peek in here. So what we're going to do is, this is his classroom, and if I go into his Classwork tab, you can see that he again uses topics based on subject areas. In here, he had a really fantastic Google Doc where they were doing a regrouping picture hunt. So the students actually were capturing screenshots of them using virtual manipulatives and putting it inside of a table. And so when I go into the view assignment, one of the things that I can do as a teacher is at any point I can look at any student's work, whether it's been turned in or just assigned. That doesn't matter. Now what I can do is I can select a student and I can look at their work, and it opens up this brand new assessment panel, which I really, really love. It shows me the student's name. I'm inside the Google Doc or whatever thing you've opened, and I'm automatically in suggesting mode. That's the mode where I can leave marks and suggestions. It doesn't change the original. It'll show up as a comment for them. So I can go through and I can leave some of those suggestions for them. The other thing that I can do, if I really needed to pop this open into a full new window so I see the full Google Docs view, I can absolutely do that. Brand new to this feature is the new comment bank. I can fill up this comment bank just from a Google Doc, maybe for those common things I'm always saying that I would like to be able to use for my students. And you can see it's giving you a little tour here. Even comments that I've particularly used and I've left them in a comment for somebody else, I can now, with the ellipsis, just add it to my comment bank. This is really great. And of course, I'm going to be able to type that comment, even just followed by a hashtag. Now, what I'm going to see is I have a lot of grammatical comment banks right in here that I use when I'm doing my writing. And so when I go in here, what I'll notice is I can simply copy to my clipboard. Now, when I come on over here for a student and I want to be able to leave that comment for them, I can leave it for a comment directly on their page like we traditionally do in a Google Doc, but I can also add it as a private comment here. And then this student would be able to see that. In this particular case, I'm not, just because this is really a student's work. Now, I really love that comment bank because it just allows me to be able to just handle those common things that I'm always saying, perhaps over and over again for a particular assignment. As well, from here I can return, or I can return multiple submissions, but I could return it to the child right here if it was something that I was trying to give a mark to. As well, when I'm inside of here, I can give it that final mark and that grade if there was a point value assigned to this. Now, I also don't have to leave this view. I can actually go to the next child. I can simply click to the next child and see their work and continue to be able to go through the kids one at a time and be able to give that feedback. Now, another couple of features that I really like are a couple of extensions I want to show you from Alice Keeler. The first one I want to show you is Alice Keeler's webcam record. So something I can do is webcam record. When I do the webcam record, it's simply just a 30-second webcam on you so that the students can see your face and you can talk to them about their assignment. You might have to allow it to use your camera and microphone. Now, for me, this might be causing a little bit of problems because I'm currently recording with a different recording system. But basically, you would be recording. It can't record both right now just because I'm already recording. And then when you stop it, what it's going to do is it's actually just going to have a stop and start, and then it automatically saves the link to it on your clipboard of that video that you can just paste in that private comment. It's a really fantastic way for the kids to be able to see you, hear your voice, hear your feedback, and it's way faster for teachers to just be able to record while they're talking. The other one is the quick share screenshot. So I can take a full screen or a partial screen. I could grab a piece of the student's work that I'm talking about. Perhaps maybe this was something that I wanted them to be able to focus on, be able to look at. Now, if it's brand new, it's going to take you through and ask you to do a little bit of some accepting of those different pieces there. And what it's done is it took that screenshot and it uploaded it into the Google Drive. Now I can leave a comment that goes along with it. So I could say, this was a great start. Can you show me 2 other ways? I can also paste. What that paste is going to do is whatever I just copied, whatever just uploaded from that screenshot, again, it copies a link right to my clipboard of that screenshot. And then that way it's now saved already in my Google Drive and the kid can be able to see it. The last great feedback feature I want to show you is voice notes, and it's built right into Read and Write. Now, Edmonton Catholic Schools, we have a Read and Write for every single staff and student. It's not just an assistive technology tool. I call this an assistant teacher tool. And in it, there is a voice note. I can record up to 1-minute voice comments that will go anywhere on this student work. And I could put 10 of these on a student page. I could say this and allow. This is a really great start to your assignment. I love how you showed me the number 33. Could you show me 2 other ways to represent 33? Now what I simply do is I'm going to insert that and it's going to show me as a docked comment on the side of the student's work, and they're just simply going to get a play button to be able to see this and be able to hear your voice. So it's a really fantastic way to be able to give that feedback. And never once did I ever have to leave this assessment view to do everything I just did. So when the student is inside their work, they're simply going to have that comment be able to be docked on the side. And just remember, if you ever need to see it in an open window, you just press that open button and it will pop it right into the Google Docs actual program so you can see it in its full view, and then the student can see all of the different comments, all the different things that you've done to it. They'll see here that I'm in her work right now, and everything goes from there. And you can see here's those lovely little things I just recorded. And as they finish loading, as the internet catches up, when the student hovers over it, it's simply actually going to be just a play button that the students can play in order to hear your feedback. All right, the last thing I want to show you is I want to talk to you about the Google Classroom app for teachers. So you can use this on your mobile phone, whether that's Android or iOS, or of course, if you have an iPad in your classroom, this works great too. And so what I'm going to show you is that we can do annotation and markup, inking, which is fantastic, especially if you have the new Apple Pencil, or you just use your finger. And I'm going to show you the brand new released tool that was just shared with me by Danny Moss, and that's Student Selector, so that you can just randomly pick kids in the class, whether that's for attendance or just asking questions. So I'm going to show you both of those here. And so I really love the app because it does allow me to be able to do some inking on student work. It doesn't affect student work. It saves it as a separate PDF and attaches it for the child. So we're just going to switch on over to my iPad here. And so I'm going to go into my Google Classroom, just making sure, of course, that you are signed into your Google Classroom with your domain account. In our case, it's the Edmonton Catholic Schools account. So I could go into something here for the mechanical systems. I can see that the stream, classwork, and people is at the bottom. One of the things I really love about the app is the Classwork tab, not the stream is the default. Boy, does that make things nice. So I can go through and I can look for those different assignments. I can see here that I've got my Classwork tab. I can go ahead and perhaps I'm looking at that drawings for that assignment. So in here, I've got all of my different students, and one of the things that I can do is I can open up one of their assignments and I can look at what the student created. So this is an example of a student that put together a Google drawing showing all of the different simple machines that could be used in mechanical systems. If I wanted to ink this, what I'm going to do is I'm looking for that little pencil in the top right-hand corner. And now what I'm able to do is it brings me up some inking tools so that I can start to mark up, I can move, I can write on the student work, I can change the different kind of pen that I'm trying to use, I can ink, I can write, I can check things off, I can point things out, I can do all kinds of different things. When I'm done, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to say save. It's going to show an edited version of this mechanical systems. It's going to save that as an image, and what it's done is it's now attached it for the child inside that Google Classroom. They're going to see both their original work that they created and the edited inked up version. This works for anything, whether you're opening up a doc, whether you're opening up slides, no matter what you're opening for the child, you have the ability to do this inking. Finally, I want to show you the brand new being able to do the class selector. This is really fantastic because if I click on my people tab, one of the things I'm going to notice in my top right hand corner are 4 little boxes, and one of those boxes looks a little sideways. That's the brand new student selector. I can see there's 27 kids in this class. I could simply hit next. It'll randomly pick a student for me. I can skip that student. I can say, no, I want to call them later so that it keeps them in the list. I could say, no, somebody was absent. Don't worry, I can't call on them. And I can completely just randomly select students. It's just one of those handy things without having to set things up. At any point, I can reset that student selector. All 27 are put back, and now we start back over again. Finally, another feature is we're just taking advantage of feedback using the fact that we're in iOS. So if I go back into that classwork and I go back into an assignment for students, don't forget, when I'm adding a private comment to students, I'm not stuck by simply typing it. I have that really fantastic voice recording feature built into the iOS keyboard. This is a really great example of simple machines that we use within mechanical systems. I was just able to record my voice and save a lot of teacher time when it comes to being able to create that assignment and give that feedback. So that's it. That's the Google Classroom fantasticness. That's my mission control. This is why I really love everything that I'm creating and doing and using with kids. Yes, I go out into the Google universe and I'm using all of these separate places and separate apps. But for our students, if anything is the only thing that you took away today, you want to make sure that you are going ahead and you are using the Google Classroom as their mission control. They always start in Google Classroom, either to create or to add, so that you have everything in one place. So I want to do a little sharing is caring. There's a couple of prizes I want to be able to give away today, and as well a bit of a draw for tomorrow. So I've created an assignment inside of our Google Classroom here. I've called the assignment Sharing is Caring. And what my challenge to you is just to share something. You could share an idea, an amazing tool that you've created, a template that you've made, a lesson that you've done. I want you to be able to share that. So if you would like to join our Google Classroom in order to share and in order to win a prize, just remember that you can, I'm going to invite you with our class code. I'll project it on the screen right now. Please feel free to join our Google Classroom. Feel free to share something amazing, and I'll be doing a prize draw tomorrow during our Google Sites. Just being able to share the awesome work that you've done. And of course, I'll also post that work on our page for the larger ECSD and I guess global community. Hello to everybody around the world watching. You will only be able to unfortunately join this classroom if you are part of our ECSD domain. Sorry everybody else who's watching, but I promise to have lots of other ways to win prizes. So the first prize I'm going to be giving away today, I want to be able to give away a microbit, and this is going to Jodina Hernick today. Thank you for sharing that awesome Google drawing with me. I think it was really fantastic for you to take the time to be able to share that with us. That was really awesome. Another one that I want to be able to give away is this awesome Google drawing template that was created by Tara Erdelak. She actually made this yesterday after she was inspired by our Google Drawings episode. Thank you for sharing this with me. I think it's really fantastic to take your learning and apply it right away. So what I have for you is a little bit of light up the dark side. I've got a magnetic message board for you for your classroom to be able to share the love with your students. And finally, I've always wanted to do this. You know how like in grocery stores, maybe back in the 80s, they would have the like, you're our 300th customer, yay! And you totally win a prize. Maybe that only happened in the movies. Well, today it is happening. Last night we got our 300th participant for May Google Be With You. So Stephen Huck from St. Margaret's, our Pathways program, you are our 300th participant in sign up. And so you are getting your very own copy of 50 Things to Go Further with Google Classroom. This book is for you. All of these prizes will be IMC'd out. Tomorrow is Google Sites. We're gonna have a lot of fun continuing on May Google Be With You. If you have things to share, if you have comments and questions, please reach out. I want this to be as interactive as possible. Otherwise, happy Thursday, and I will see all of you tomorrow.